Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another Last Epoch dev stream. I'm your host, Mike, and I'm glad to be here. Wisp, you are first. Good job. How is everybody doing? Well, last time on Last Epoch dev stream, we finished the storyline. Yeah, that's right. All the main quests are done. We have a ton of secondary quests that we skipped. Didn't get all our idle slots. That's fine. I guess I should just fix one. Find one of these that has an idle slot. Just grab it. Yeah, okay. Let's go grab this one quick. Finish off our idle inventory. Yeah, we're running the Bear Force now. Oh yeah. Sound. Let's do this. Do this. Alright. Good evening. If this is anyone's first time here, what we do is we hang out and we play our video game and answer questions people have. If you got a question for me, throw in the @Last Epoch game in the chat and let me know what you're after. I'll be happy to answer it. I'm just gonna get the shirt in there a little bit. My new shirt should be coming in the mail very soon. I think it said 3 or 4 days from now I should be getting a new shirt. I'll wear it for a little while at least. We're going back here, so this should be pretty quick to just hammer through. Good evening, Arrowweird. Good evening. We're just finishing up our last idle slot, and then we're going to hop into some monolith action. Where am I going? At least someone's not streaming PoE. That would be weird if I streamed PoE, I think. I mean, might not be the worst thing. It'd be kind of cool to stream some like D2R, or maybe some PoE 2 when it comes out, a little D4 when it comes out. That'd be cool. If I did that, I feel like I'd have to not do it from the company account, you know? Is there something going on with PoE today? Yeah, I know this is going to be a light stream, and I'm fine with that. But, you know, consistency is the key, and we're here. I also just like playing, so it gives me a chance to just hang out and relax a bit, you know. Some games you took inspiration. I'd love to stream the original, like, just Diablo 1. I'd love to do that, because it's been so long since I've played it. And honestly, I'd probably be awful. So it'd be pretty funny. But I think it would be fun. I got it. We're going to the Oracle's Abode. Woohoo! All right. Let's just slap this up there. We'll find some gooder ones later. That's right, you heard me. Diablo 1 was your first ARPG? Yeah, it's first for a lot of us, I think. First one I really ever played was Diablo 2. I'm just like a tiny bit too young to really have played much Diablo 1. At like an appropriate time. Went back and played it, but... Hey, I got a question regarding how you want to approach clunky skills. Feels like some skills will never going to be used unless they would have ridiculous numbers. Okay, well, so I mean, every skill should not be clunky. I think that is a goal. I think this is actually a really tough topic, because there's skills that are... There needs to be a certain amount of timing that goes into it, or else it's out of place. And so like an example I give to that is something like Forge Strike or Smelter's Wrath. You know, like these really big, heavy-hitting melee skills that are like really supposed to be, you know, there's some oomph there. There's lead up, there's follow through, there's all these things, and they should have decent numbers, and we're working on getting that into a good spot. But it is definitely really hard to balance the speed and power and have things feel smooth and feel like they're worth it. And sometimes that comes down to, actually weirdly enough, putting a restriction on it such that you can't spam it. That ends up making it feel a lot better. And sometimes that restriction ends up being a cooldown, which we like to avoid where possible. But having that force, like you can't spam it, can end up making it feel less clunky. There's also times where there's abilities where in combination they feel really clunky. So things like, one thing that comes up a fair bit is abilities comboing with channeled abilities. So you're using Warpath as your main ability, and you want to be able to use some ability and not stop spinning. But suddenly the fact that you have to stop spinning because an ability is an instant cast feels clunky. Now sometimes we've done things where we've like made it be able to be instant cast at some sort of detriment, like more mana cost or a cooldown to go with it. And there's different ways to balance that, really, but there needs to be some sort of cost that goes into every type of ability, and that cost can be spread across multiple axes. And one of those costs is time, and I don't mean cooldowns, because that is one of them, but the like time you have on your character. So like right now, like I'm swiping and like there's time in that swipe where I can't be doing something else simultaneously, but if something is instant cast, you can do it simultaneously because it just happens at the same time. And it's tough to get that right, and usually the answer is basically just a lot of playtesting and a lot of just trying to figure out what feels good. Good bear. Good bear. Are you discussing the issues regarding auto-targeting and movement skills when playing with a controller? If so, it would be curious to hear ideas that came up. We haven't had a meeting about it recently. I know this is something that I read a post somewhere about this yesterday or the day before, either forum or Reddit or something. Maybe it was Discord. Kind of blur together sometimes. But yeah, there's always this want to polish the controller experience, and there hasn't been a lot of work on it this patch yet. So it's on the list to talk about, but we haven't talked about it recently. Let me just do this and just grab something. Sure. Ignite and health, why not? Was I doing the monolith last time? Like, is that how far we got? I guess we're done, aren't we? Let's go. We go fight a boss. But as far as auto targeting goes, with the controller and movement skills and things like that, I can tell you how I'd think about it generally. I think there's a little too much preference put to targeting barrels and boxes, so neutral mobs. It's funny that the alignment that we use, you see how it highlights in white there, so, and then there's things that highlight in green and things that highlight in red. And so there's like there's an alignment system, and the alignment for things that as the player highlight in red are evil, and things that as the player highlight in green are good, and things that highlight in white are barrel is their alignment. Not even joking. Just because it was the first destructible we had, so we called the alignment barrel. I just think it's funny. But yeah, I think it prioritizes that too much. And I'd like to try and build in some system where you can override, like, where you can kind of restrict the targeting to a specific quadrant or a specific direction. Maybe there's like an arc. Yeah, let me kill these guys. That's what I'm talking about. It is warm in here. My goodness. Okay. So like, oh, that was a dumb idea. Let's do that. Keep it centered a little bit. Oh, ruining it. Okay, so like if you held your joystick in this direction, maybe it forced the targeting to only accept things in that direction. That makes any sense? And picking out what this arc here is, that might need to be adjusted. Maybe there's things where like you'll press the button and start to hold it, and like a targeting radius will go out and out and out and out and out, and then when you let go, that's where it targets at a specific point, instead of just having it be a fixed distance in the direction, which is what we do right now. Yeah. There's some work that needs to be done there. It's not perfect. I can't tell you what's gonna happen because I have no idea. Ooh, that could be a good ring. A cursed gold ring of remedy. It's cursed. Eh. It's weird that that's on the list. Was that just like any jewelry? Give it to me? I may have been. I know my rings were real poor for a while there. Alright, we got some more questions here. Speaking of Warpath, why can't we regen mana during channeling most skills? It's to balance them, basically. Yeah. That's it. Regarding instant and auto cast, have you considered turning skills like Tornado into auto to toggle aura that consumes constant mana instead of just numb locking its use every 4 seconds? Not really. Okay, yes, we've considered it. It's not something we're interested in. I think that's a better way to put it. Yeah, that makes some sense. Thanks for your thoughts. You're welcome. Sometimes my thoughts make sense. Ugh, it's a scary thought. What's the LE analog to Diablo 2 Sork teleport? I want to blast monos in 30 seconds. Well, we very intentionally don't have one. This might be a controversial statement, but I think teleport might be one of the worst abilities in Diablo 2. I've obviously used it a bajillion times. Let's just say obviously. I've used it a bajillion times, and will use it again next time I go play Diablo 2 again, which is gonna happen. But it's very problematic. Oops. It really has nothing to do with the quality of the skill itself. The skill's really flippin' awesome. It's the best skill in the game by a mile, which is what makes it the worst skill in the game. Alright, will there ever be mana gained on hit like health or mana gained on kill? Unlikely. So mana gained on kill, basically anything on kill effects, the immediate like request that we get is make it on kill or on hit chance on bosses. So it's like, because you get a boss and suddenly this affix is completely useless against bosses, so the affix is useless. Just in general. And mana is the primary way we try and gate ability frequency, so it's less about cooldowns and more about resource management instead of cooldown management. And it's quite often, it's difficult to, that's kind of cool. Put that one LP in there. It's quite often difficult to balance that if there is a mana on hit or mana on kill, and we do have those effects. Like this is right there. Like there's rage on kill, mana on kill. And there's other things too that do it as well for very specific situations. I don't know what it is off the top of my head. Wait, we're doing this. Yeah. A difficult distinction between game design goodness and absolute power goodness. Yeah. And honestly, I think part of the problem with teleport is I don't think anyone really anticipated being able to cast it so fast and so frequently. And nerfing it would have been taken so poorly that I think they were kind of backed into a corner once there was gear enough to be able to teleport on like a 4-frame teleport or whatever it is, the max is. What is it? I'll find it. Cheat sheet. Where is this? 7 frame. 200 FCR 7 frames. Still, it's like it's insane with how fast you can get it down to. Come on. It was weird, it wouldn't swipe. Oh, I need to change that ability. got my 3rd shot on Tuesday, and my arm's just been a wreck. I was not doing great up until this morning, and was worried I was gonna have to not look very nice. But this morning, woke up, I'm like, oh, I feel great. It's a satisfying sound. Love all those bear growls and everything. Oh, Glyph of Despair. Take it. Totally don't have many of those. Gotta set up that filter. Did I just kill him in like 2 hits? He might need his health bumped up a bit. The stream is very quiet. Oh. Like the in-game volume?
Impossible.
Or like, sorry, Lizard, is it my voice that's really quiet or the stream? Like the in-game? I just turned up the game in relation to me. I missed last stream, so what happened to the Bizarre Feels Bad Man? Like, long and the short of it is, we were working on implementing it and like polishing out the design, all the holes that were in there still. So like, we had a vision for what we wanted, and we had some stuff worked out for it. We were confident enough in it to share it, which is why we shared it. Usually we don't share things that early, just because things change a lot in design. And there's a lot of iteration that happens as we're implementing it, and so we usually wait till things are a little more set before we share them. And once we changed a few things, we changed a few other things, and we're like, Bizarre does not fit the name for this anymore at all. So we just can't do it. So we pulled the name, and yeah, we'll fill it back in with another one, different name. But I mean, obviously biased, but I'm confident in the next thing we share. Good. What was I going for? Was I going for this? Yeah, I love that. Was I going for this? Yeah, I was going for that. There's all things that I'm like working towards, and I'm like looking back at the tree. What was I going for here? Oh yeah, it was that. Looks like I was going for this. Was it just going for healing? What was I doing? Oh. Yeah, I need that. Why didn't I put points in that? I'm gonna redo the whole tree anyways eventually here, so won't really matter. Yes, yes. Are there any plans to rework the LP and legendary crafting in dungeon? Nope. It feels really bad getting stat you don't need on a very rare unique. Yeah, I mean that's part of the system. Definitely, there's always that risk of getting something that you don't want. That's why you gotta get the you gotta get everything up as high as you can on the item and get the item. Like that's why like building the exalted you're gonna use is so important, and having that exalted be carefully crafted is so useful. I sustain through this, kinda, sorta, maybe. Nice. Quite a lot of different elements that I stack up pretty quick. Oh, off angle a bit. Back here. Ooh, what am I doing? A, not S. Where is he? Is Teddy dead? No, Teddy. Can I survive out here? Nope, I cannot. Alright, fine, let's do that, Teddy. I gotta get that consistently up above 6 stacks more. Maelstrom the Frenzy on Maelstrom up above 6 stacks is so great. Do I do this? Yeah, we do. That worked nicely. I'll take it. If only there was a way to resurrect from range. Did I turn the in-game up too loud? Got 2 rings. Ooh. I'll turn the in-game down a little bit. It's like echoed. I don't know what to say, man. Alright, what an increased experience. That seems pretty sweet. Yeah, I'm just gonna increase experience. Yeah, not really much else there. Wait, are you changing the system or just the name? Both. In changing the system, we realized the name didn't fit anymore. So we changed the name. Hello, quick question. Who designed Alpine Halls and why? Well, I actually don't know who it was specifically. But because it's cool. I don't know. I'm assuming by the question you're not a fan, and that's fine. My hand went off on the keyboard again. I do that a lot. Does EG have plans in the works for how to bring up set items in power or unique traits to compensate for the legendary system or uniques outshining sets in a drastic way? We don't have anything we're ready to share just yet. Sets are and have been for quite a while been in sort of a weird state, and we're still working out the exact best way we want to handle that. We've got a few things that we're looking at and all that sort of stuff, but nothing's in yet. Have any suggestions on what you'd like to see with them that doesn't include just give them LP, I'm all ears. But if it's more than a couple sentences, head over to the forums. I need some bedtime reading material. Alright. The culling on swipe is really nice. Alright. When all minions API will be when all minions API will be updated. We don't have an API right now for anything. So after we've created one, XP spikes, that feels good. I noticed there are a few affix skills like potion find and ward on potion use. Is there going to be an option to auto-consume potions that you walk over to proc potion use effects? The walk-over potion use interaction probably won't get options. I mean, it's something we could do. No, it won't. Sorry, I just realized why you can't do it. But basically, when you walk over a potion, if you're not at max potions, it will auto-use it. And you also drop more potions when you're not at max potions. So if you are trying to really cultivate a lot of potion uses and potion drops, the best way to do that is not to stay at max potions anyways. So just don't stay at max potions and you can do it. I'm weirdly only 50-50 liking the auto shout on Rampage Stop. I mean, when it works, it's great, but there's sometimes where I'm like, no, don't shout right now, it's a bad time. It's a good trade-off for having it be automated, though, so I guess I like that. Not actually a question, just want to say GG. Thank you. Been playing for almost 2 years, and it's the first time I played so long in a patch, so lots to discover. Awesome job. Thank you. Yeah. It's come a long way in 2 years. You've been around for 2 years, you've seen a lot of changes. I'd love to do like a little retrospective at some point. Does anyone know what the second class added to the game was? No one on the team's allowed to ask because we just were asked this a couple days ago. Spellblade was not the second class added to the game. That was like the 7th. tell you what the first one was. The first one was Beastmaster. I mean, when all minions will work as wolves. What? Is that about the API thing? When will all minion API... Oh, AI, not API. Sorry. They all are. They all have the same AI already. That happened last, or 2 patches ago even. Primalist and Beastmaster are not the correct answer. Knight, Paladin, nope, no. And Sork, yes, it was Sork. Not Mage, Sork. Yeah, the original version of the game only had 2 classes. Beastmaster, Sork were the only options. And then in the middle of Kickstarter, we decided to add another class like idiots. Oh, that was a stressful month. What is actually happening when Majasa rips out her face at the beginning of Phase 2? Well, she's ripping out that face. They all have the same AI. Why do crows keep moving around while attacking a stationary target? Yes. Okay. So they all have the same underlying AI system, which the way it works is it has a list of abilities in order of priority. So it'll say like, okay, you're gonna use let's use like the fire archers, fire skeleton archers. Good example. They have an ability that's the top level. The first thing in their priority list is fire arrow, and the second thing in their list is regular arrow. I don't know what it's called, just arrow. And so fire arrow has a cooldown of 3 seconds. I don't know what it actually is, but let's say it's roughly 3 seconds. So the first thing it does is it goes down the list and finds the first thing that's off cooldown. And before it's done anything, it'll be fire arrow. And so it'll go, do I have any legal targets for fire arrow? And it'll find one. It'll find something like, okay, I can shoot that with fire arrow, and it will. And then it goes down the list again. And it goes, okay, fire arrow's on cooldown. What's the next thing? Oh, regular arrow. Okay, now do I have any legal targets for regular arrow? And it shoots that. And it just keeps doing that until there's almost always just an auto attack that's in every one of the lists, so that it always has something it can do that it can always find a legal target for. And then there's on top of that, there's a little bit extra. So it'll say like the targeting for each one of those things has a range for targeting, where if it's already engaged on the target, it'll have a different range for a legal target acquisition than if it's not already engaged on the target. And it has a minimum range as well and a maximum range. So it'll be like, okay, well, it'll only shoot targets that are between this range and that range, and the range changes based on if it's been attacking that thing already or not. And so if it can't, even if something's off cooldown, but it can't find a legal target for that thing, it'll go to the next thing on the list. And that style of system, the underlying AI for it, was changed recently. Like the way that it interacts with that list was changed recently to be a bit more aggressive. And then Stormcrows specifically have an other ability in that list. Might not actually be another ability in that list, but it has something special where it specifically moves in between attacking. Partially because when we originally had them set up, they would just clump up and just sit there all together in a very tight-knit single spot and just keep shooting, and it looked terrible. So the DPS doesn't actually go down because they're just doing it in what the cooldown would be normally. Yeah. So when I say they all have the same AI, I'm more referring to the way that they interact with that list is all the same. And the way they decide if they're going to abandon a target based on distance to the player, things like that. The way they're gonna, all those little things, you know, how they interact with the world and all that sort of stuff. That's all the same. Sometimes I feel like the Spires should have, like, and this might be a people like, no! I feel like they should have some sort of, like, defensive mechanism for, like, short range when you get close to them, like. I don't know. I think that'd be cool. Be more interesting. The problem is they seem to have a tendency, there it is, to fly into ground effects and die. I can't put my Spriggan somewhere I can put my Spriggan somewhere to turret from, but crows are so squishy they feel hard to control as a support companion. Yeah, they're patrolling Spires. Yeah, they're a little more flighty, a little harder to control. There's more of them, so it's less of a big deal. Like if your one Spriggan dies, that's 100% of your Spriggan. Well, 50 in case you have two of them, but let's assume you just have one. If your Spriggan dies, that's 100% of your Spriggans down. And if a Stormcrow dies, that's, I mean, at worst 50%. Is there a node to make it only just one? Spires run away from you. I meant more of like they've got like a big like or something around them when you get close, or I don't know. Maybe they've got like a harpoon thing that pulls. Oh yeah, if no one's seen this, I just killed it. Those bears. Yeah, see it teleports, and you can see the runes on it. One of my favorite little nods to a great game. The Jive Bear of Blades. I dropped a few decent weapon bases here. I wanna do a stop for a little crafting sesh here. Spires have learned from their enemies and now have reflect. Runes on bear, what an enigma. Berserk does so much. It's crazy. The other way. It's the other way. I don't want to believe it. Ah, a dang charging upstairs bug. That's one I worked on for a while. I have no idea what's causing it. charge through each other. Yeah, I can sustain through it. Eat it with my 29% fire res. Is it possible we could see PvP in multiplayer with ranked PvP arena as alternate aspirational content alongside PvE arena? Yeah, it's possible. Our main focus for right now is PvE. PvP is something that I believe is a great addition to a game like this, and like I want to make it happen. It's tough to get working right. It's tough to feel fun and engaging, and to balance it well. Really tough. And a lot of times you see PvP communities emerging with their own rules about how it's going to work, and there's a lot of stuff like that in like low level duels in Diablo 2. There's so many rules that go with it. It's great. So I have no idea how long anything like that's gonna take to come out. If it does, if it doesn't, it's something I'd love to have. I love PvP stuff. I'm never great at it, but I like to try. I would never do like hardcore PvP myself. Maybe if it was, I don't know. Might get into it. Yeah. Do I want to do this? And slip into 2 Swarm Blades / Bear. I kind of feel like I need to plan that out a little better. No, we're not doing that. Let's just grab some health when we get that. Not really doing minion stuff, really. Craft some of those. Alright. Let's see what we got here. In the campaign, just after Liath's tower, there's a split in the road, one going up, one going down. On the top one, there's a Highland bear. Why no lowland bear on the other side? The lowland bears were tragically hunted into extinction because their fur was very soft, and when the army swept through, they wanted to use it for like pelts for the officers, and they hunted all of them to extinction completely, and no lowland bears anymore. It's tragic, really. I have no idea why. It's funny, the the auto moderator Wisp, it flagged your post for several things. Well, it's like nothing bad actually there. It's just there's like words out of ARPG context that are like didn't like them. Listen, I promise I'm gonna read that. Another pair, that's funny. Just realized that I went into a Spire and Ember Mages and Spires, and you know, I've got to keep my wits about me. Okay, I realized that one of the things that I enjoy less about monolith maps in Last Epoch is the backtracking in other games. You can cross... Ooh, something else. With legendary potential. Look at that. Alright. Is the... streamer RNG much? Alright, backtracking. In other games, you can cross maps in 1 second, so even if you go the wrong way, you're back to where you wanted to be in 1 second. Do you ever feel like the maps? Do you ever feel like the maps in LE, in mono? Sorry. Okay, test. Can I survive a direct hit from that? Easily. Cool. Alright. I realized that one of the things I enjoy less about monolith maps in Last Epoch is the backtracking. In other games, you can cross maps in 1 second, so even if you go the wrong way, you are back where you wanted to be in 1 second. Do you ever feel like the maps in Last Epoch and Mono do not fit the pace of the game? Any chance at making the dead ends in maps not dead ends, so backtracking is minimized? Thank you. Yeah, I mean, there's the other half of that, so I definitely hear what you're saying. And there's sort of like a second half of that where you can make things that are dead ends intentionally have like enemies pop up behind the dead end path, so that when you come back, there's still something to do and a reward for doing it as you go back through. And I know right now killing enemies in a monolith doesn't have the reward you'd want it to have, but let's set that aside for a second and assume it does. Just pretend that that's the thing, please, for now. I know it's not, but for argument's sake, let's say it is. And then the other thing, like, so then there's just putting like a chest at the dead end, like this one right here, which this was a really bad example because right now most of the time the chests aren't actually good, but there's some not terrible stuff in there. So like either by making like the chests in that situation better, or having some other sort of unique thing that's generically useful that shows up in some dead ends, or yeah, looping them back around. There needs to be some way to make that dead end feel, because yeah, the trek back quite often doesn't feel great. I mean, I think there's times when it's useful and times when it's not, because these enemies are not very useful, and I could have killed them on the way. I'd still really like to see more randomization in monoliths, personally. In the echoes themselves. Be nice. I'd like that. I don't think that's a revolutionary thing to say. Alright, reason why PvP and PoE failed was because it was released in a way where everyone was twinking with insane level 28 gear, and since then it was always met with skepticism if they tried to revive it. If PvP and LE had standardized PvP gear, it would be easier to balance. Yeah, like, so I mean, it's been a while since I played WoW, so I don't know if this is still the case, but way back when, there was very specific PvP gear that you had to have, or else you were just hoopered. And it was like almost always you'd be going up against someone with the same caliber of gear, just because of the most important thing was, I can't remember the stat name anymore. It was something like endurance or tenacity or someone will know. Whatever that stat was. Resilience, thank you. Yep, that's it. And it was basically if you didn't have resilience, it just didn't matter. So it was, everyone was just like, okay, we'll get the resilience gear and it caps out at this point, great. And there was some really good and really bad things about that for sure. And I'm not, and there's been other things where like abilities, some games will balance abilities for multiplayer or for PvP versus PvE. So maybe something like that's a guaranteed stun suddenly becomes a 50% chance to be a stun, you know? Stuff like that. I have no idea if we're going to do anything like that. But there's definitely options on the table for stuff if we need it. And I think given the priorities that we have, we'd be we don't have a plan for this, so just skepticism. This is speculation, really. But I would expect us to, if PvP wasn't going well in our testing, I'd expect us to delay it rather than release it poorly. And there's different PvP modes. Like there's a lot of really early. I know I've told the story a bajillion times, but really early when we were testing multiplayer, and there was quite literally just a giant big green plane. Well, it was grass texture, but like big green plane. The only ability that worked was Fireball. Everything was one shot. There was some bug that made everything one shot everyone, and no one was. It was every man for himself. You could just respawn instantly, and people were just like hucking fireballs at each other. It was a ton of fun. And I think we've seen weird PvP modes do really well in a lot of different games. Like PoE had the Battle Royale mode that was wildly popular, and even just like weird like FPS modes, like what is it, like swords and grenades? I think is what it was in Halo. Halo 2 or Halo 3? Is that what it was? Everyone's invisible, swords and grenades. Some mode that my buddies always played. That I found like a ton of fun. But I like those weird modes personally. I think there's I kind of veered off where I was going with this, but bringing it back to PvP and standardization and balance and gear and everything like that, I think there's some games that have done it really well that were focused a lot more on PvP. Guild Wars 1, Guild Wars 2 was as well, or is as well, quite a fair bit, but played a lot more of 1, so I can talk to that better. You capped out in perfect gear in Guild Wars 1 in like a day. And when I say perfect gear, I mean like there was just literally nothing better. Like it wasn't like you could get marginal increases that were a tiny bit better. No, it was absolutely perfect. You could wear blue gear, which is the same as blue gear in this magic gear. It's the second tier of gear that was identical power levels to the absolute rarest gear in the game. And the only difference in rarity was how it looked. and when PvP is such an emphasis, I think that's a really smart thing to do. Right, potato. Alright. I know you've previously stated that you don't like the idea of auto-looting shards. It's true, I don't. Shards. So they keep good feelings of picking up rare shards. So how about compromise auto-looting only common shards and leave the rare shards for us to pick up? Yeah, that's something that we've talked about as well. The main reason why we haven't, well, not main reason, but one of the reasons why we haven't really explored that path more than just like think about it, maybe not, is if you train someone that they don't need to pick up shards, and they don't, like, because you don't see the rare shards for a long time in the game, and if you train someone that you don't need to pick up shards for 40, 50, 60 levels of the game, and then suddenly you do have to start picking them up, there's a lot of people that will miss them. Because they'll be trained, and I mean, like, so the answer to that generally is, okay, we'll change the color or the idols or the shards with the loot filter, and well, there's no reason not to pick them up because they don't have their own inventory, because they do have their own inventory, and then it's kind of it's a snake eating its own tail thing here. But yeah, it's not something we don't talk about. It's a nice one. Oh yeah, eh? Yeah, okay, let's grab some more info. See what's out there. Heavy had a really cool post a few days ago about the way that the monolith map generates itself, and he found a way to kind of manipulate it a bit, which was interesting to see. Oh wow. Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good. Spoilers today. I thought you'd never ask. Yeah, I got one for you. I'll do it after this mono. Actually, a couple, I think. Will single-player save files be encrypted in the future? Possibly. It's less of a concern once we've gone full multiplayer. So, we actually did encrypt them at one point. It caused a lot of problems. So we turned it off. Like, it caused a lot of problems. Let's go! I think these things should have, like, should scale. Like, it, yeah, maybe I was gonna say it could be like a fixed duration, and scale the amount of nodes that it uncovers based on how many things you kill in that duration. I think that'd be a cool twist. It does kind of pull back from builds that are less high on the DPS scale and more about survivability. So maybe not. It causes problems there. Why Zarek has the most voice lines compared to anyone else? Because he is one of the most recent characters. And quite often the most recent content for us is the highest quality content for us. I do like that. I do like that. It's kind of meh. Some of these in here. Sure. Can't break up the set, right? We will eventually. What do I think? We'll give it a shot. Cool. Why not? Zarek's raspy voice is my bedtime lullaby. Sweet. It's not me. It's not my voice. I'm pretty sure the voice actor is the same for both eras. Can we then get a watermark in offline mode? There's currently some concern about content creators fiddling with files to skip the farming process and put out more videos, and it could help with players see why they put more work and who not. So I don't want to say the fact that we tried encrypting it briefly and it didn't work immediately, and so we undid it at that time, doesn't mean that we won't do it again. Lots changed since then. That was a year ago at least, probably closer to 2. I understand the concern you have here. I can't tell you what we're gonna do because I don't know. The main reason why there's such a hardline stance on it right now is because there is a ladder, and I know the ladder's not perfect. But we're trying to deter mucking about with that as much as possible. Also partially because feedback generated from cheating is kind of useless to us, you know? And that's not entirely true. There's a different type of feedback we get, and if we don't know what type it is, it's hard to really gauge that feedback or how useful it is, or actually take it and put it into action. In like an extreme scenario, if you have a situation where someone has gear that they get from 20,000 hours of playtime, and it's really great gear, and they have some feedback about the gear acquisition process and time. And then you have someone who just gets gear for the same gear, but does it nefariously. The feedback on the gear acquisition process, and really just everything along the way, is really hard to take the same way. You can't really tell for certain which one either one of them is. Mostly because there's a lot of steps along the way to getting godly gear, right? I love it when a charge comes together. Oh! Invisible wall. I think chances of having a watermark on there is pretty low. Bars of this menu glow green when you've got really good ping, and red when you got really bad ping or something like that. And if you don't see that, then you know it's offline or something like that. And there's a lot of content creators. So I'll look at Diablo 2 for an example here, because there's a lot of content creators that make content for Diablo 2 who specifically use offline and Hero Editor to make the content. And it's not a frowned upon thing. It's not a taboo thing. It's just, and they're very upfront about it for sure. But so I guess I'm struggling to as I'm just talking through this out loud, what's the difference there? Is it the fact that there is an offline and an online mode, and right now we only have one? Is it that they're really upfront about it? Is it just the fact that it's allowed or not allowed? No, okay. It's just the fact that it's allowed or not allowed. I get it. That makes sense. That's why I suggested to flag those players. That's why I suggested to flag those players. It saves process power for people on potato PCs. Or those that cheat their way into realistic drops, since they get visibly flagged so they can't pretend. Let's say I want to theorycraft on day one of the patch with new uniques. TOS remain. If the TOS remains the same, I can't do it on stream. So situation gets ... Yeah, I have no idea if the TOS is going to stay the same or not after multiplayer launches. I would say it's there's almost zero chance it stays exactly the same. I have no idea if it's going to stay the same with relation to these specific things we're talking about now. It's been a long time since we've revisited it. Probably should, just in general. Honestly, I wish the offline mode, once multiplayer releases, would still have editable saves just so you can test stuff out you wouldn't be able to test on live. Yeah, I understand the desire there, for sure. It's tricky because there's, like... cheating ruins retention. Like God mode, like easy hero editing, stuff like that, just ruins retention. And like, so actually I have no direct evidence for that. For me, it does this. There's quite a few games that I've played where once I've applied a bunch of mods or a bunch of cheats or whatever, like single player offline games, it suddenly just become boring because you're like, well, I kill everything in one hit, I am a god. Great. I guess it's done. You know, you put the game down, you never come back to it. And that's like, that's what happens for me personally. Which may not be the case for a lot of people. And I understand that there are really good reasons to want to be able to do that sort of thing, to prepare for competitive play. Totally understand that. Can we get a pause button in offline mode? Yeah, we get that question a lot. We actually have a pause button in the editor. If you press escape in the editor, it pauses. Like when you're building, when you're actually working on the game, and you're like, you can play the game while you're working on it, and if you do that, it pauses. So the stuff's there, it just doesn't work in builds for some reason. So we're working on it. We're changing the topic. I just read a post that Heavy made. That post that Heavy made, I have to ask: is this the same cause why beacons spawn new links? Maybe. I've seen a beacon node only have one exit, but when cleared, it got 4 more options. That's cool. I didn't know that was possible. I mean, the underlying cause for it is that the web is built on the fly. It's like right now, what's out here has not been generated yet. Like all of the stuff doesn't exist. Who knows what it is? When like I'll have to go there to find out what it is. It's not, none of it's pre-generated. And there's a giant ring around this point that's like max distance. Can we get an editor in offline mode? I mean, not right now, no. I should put some points in here, shouldn't I? Got a couple. What do I get? Oh, that's nice. Yeah, I want that. I can crit. Give me rage, give me fire. Give me that which I desire. It's okay, I can sing like that because I'm off key enough that it doesn't get flagged. Oh yeah, I never I promised to leak it. I didn't show squat. Alright, here we go. Take a little break. Oops. There we go. So I was just loading into to test something. Testing the positions of Ring of Shields in multiplayer and making sure it syncs with the player and everything. And I really liked the my character's load-in screen based on what he was wearing. So I thought I took a little screenshot. I thought I'd share it. This is what we looked like when we were trying to load. We were starting to load in, and I realized as well there's a little problem in here, so I wanted to fix it before I showed you guys. But I was like, I already had the shot, and I was getting right before stream, so I didn't. But the shield will actually be bigger. It's too small right now. But I thought it looked cool, so.
For the glorious Allah.
Pink it in. It's a void knight. Okay. It's also just a horrible character because all it was there was to have as many things that, as many abilities that could simultaneously orbit you as possible. Spect. So it's like it was Ring of Shields, Devouring Orb, Hammer Throw. I can't remember what else is there. Yeah, it was a bad build, and nothing spec'd, and yeah. I'd take a James Hetfield inspiration over spoilers and leaks anytime. Even if it's a terrible one? I'm well aware that I cannot sing well. I have no illusions to the matter. All right, let's just do a little crafting here, see what we can make. Yeah. All right, starting out solid. Yeah. Oh, this is great. Do we want to ignite or do we want to roll something else? Should we discover it first? Let's discover it first. Discover. Alpha melee hit? That's not bad. I'm gonna re-roll this. Lead. He's not bad, actually. Yeah, let's just keep pumping this up. Yeah. I'll take it. Yeah, I think that's better. We're just gonna roll with it. Key. Cash. Bow. Exalted Wands. Wing Catalyst, that'll be fun. Let's go with some jewelry. Spammer in Discord, by the way, thank you. Gone. It's my house. Shit, through the wall? No fair. guys saw that, right? Okay. Gorgon of Rot. Can we expect any improvements to minion AI in the near future? Are there any plans to implement more mean commands such as hold position, for example? We do want to do that. It's been sort of one of those things we've had on the like, oh, one day we'll get around to it list for quite a while. It's not high prio right now, so not 8.5. We're doing a lot of multiplayer work this patch, so we're squeaking in what we can to go along with that. I'd personally like to. So what I'd like to see with minion stuff is being able to set kind of a personality for them, because there's certain minions and it sometimes changes when you spec them differently, but you want them to do different things. I'd personally like to see that be in like this menu somewhere right here, like a little drop down or something. Bear should be a bit more angry. Bears can be cuddly and lovely. Flurry ring. The flurry ring. I always say it like every time, but Berserk. Poof. Does Teddy version 2 have a name? Oh, this is still Teddy. It's still it's Teddy until he gets a new name. Until we summon one that has a different name. Like, you just sit here all day and do this, and oh, I forgot about the cooldown. Nope. Do I have something for throwing attacks in my ring with poison res? Okay. That was when I was like, I need poison res. Oh, hey! So here's the difference between the way it is now and the way it will be. Something's going wrong there. But the shield. There and there's the difference. It's a little different. going? Ah, Primal Bear. Come on, I want a name. I want a special name. Not sure why I go back for those. Like, oh, only 561. Whoa, peanuts. How much health and if you've got questions for me, don't forget to at Last Epoch game, or else I probably won't see them. How much health and mana do characters get when it gains one level? I don't think it gets any, does it? I'm almost positive it doesn't get any mana. I think it's some health. That'd be a good thing to put in there. That's something! Oh, right. Okay, yeah, I got a list for that recently. Of, like, things that people want added to the game guide. Got a pretty big list of it, actually. Where was that? Oh, I had it. I put it somewhere. I can find it. I had a huge list. Where'd it go? Oh, I know where it is. Sort by that. Oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to add all these, but these are the ones we got a request for in general in the game guide. It's not bad. Oh, hey! It's a little different. It's worse in some ways, better in others. But the LP, we're just gonna wear it just for that. Maybe I should go do oh, do I have an exalted belt that I can use? Okay. We're gonna see if we have an exalted belt, and then we're gonna go look and see if we can do the what the hell is this? Yep, 50's low enough. Next time on, we're gonna make some legendaries. Keep that berserk. Yes. Wow. Okay. Character death, inventory, crafting, monolith of fate, damage types, doom, critical strike, vulnerability, ward, attributes, code of conduct, legendary items, user interface, mastery, skill specialization, and critical strikes. I don't think any of that information's really in. Well, there's specific things for those listed. So some of those are already in. There's specific things that need to be updated on those pages. We got requests for a lot of stuff. But if there's other things that people want to see in the game guide, I'm very interested to hear what you think would be useful. Future Strike and Doom explanations will be nice in the game guide as well. Especially Doom. Yeah, it's hard to find info on. Yeah, that's Doom's one of them. By the way, still waiting for a browser extension channel. I can volunteer as emote editor. Oh. Yeah, I will admit that I have put not enough time or effort into improving the channel here. It's basically just gotten to a point where I'm like, I can come and I can stream and I can answer questions, and that's really the important part. But yeah, it would be. I think it would be really helpful to beef up the quality of life stuff going on in here. Do you like the layout of the Alpine Halls monolith? I honestly don't know what the layout is off the top of my head. I have not taken notice of it enough in the name to know it off the top of my head. But I've never had one where I'm like, oh, this is so frustrating to be in this place, so probably. How many leaks do you have for us today? I have one more little one. I can share that after this monolith. I didn't bring a ton today. Sorry. But I kind of suspected today would be a light day, because there's nothing else happening in the world today. Yeah, probably nothing there. Alright, yeah, I got something else here. A little bit more concept art. That one's actually in game already, I'm pretty sure. I saw the animations for it and everything. Looked great. Looked really great. It was like weirdly creepy. The animators did a great job on that one. We have an exalted belt. Here we go. Getting that health would be nice, actually. And we have so many random exalted stuff everywhere from just being an old account. But like, I kind of don't want to take any of it other than like stuff we find recently. That would be a good one to slap on our thorn shell. Don't ask what the naming's all about, by the way. It's none of this has been named properly, and it's all just they're all experiment names to be like, let's try and find some bugs. Do you not remember making some of these? Oh, there's some good stuff in there. much else. So using one of these as a page. Yeah, let's keep going. Getting pretty close actually to another one. Oh, I should just realized that I was doing that all with my screen mostly covered. Ha ha. Yeah. Whee. Solarum Arena. Wave 1, fight! Ding. Keep coming at me. Keep the berserk dream alive. Yes. No, jumped it. Oh, yes. Let's go. You know you want a berserk. Oh. Wow. Ding. That's a quick one. Any chance we'll be able to use those hazard zones in the arena against enemies? Yeah, I mean, that's a cool idea. So there's, like, being able to, like, lure them into the spot and cause them to fight on it and everything. I think there's a little, like, they're kind of dumb. They don't have the ability to say, like, do I want to pull back, and, like there's that strategy element doesn't go both ways, which is why the only person that can have those strategy decisions are the only people that can be hurt by it. Oh, another back-to-back arena fights. No one would want to come up against me in the arena. Come back for you, Theodore, don't worry. Yeah, keep the berserk dream alive. That was dicey. I think I might need to reevaluate some of my resistances. Poison 159. Everything else. That's funny. Teddy! Wow. Guess you guys have to upgrade the AI not to stand in the fire. Significantly easier said than done. There's a lot of like little tiny decisions that go into deciding whether to move or stay, and a lot of them might be things that you don't even realize that you're thinking about. A lot of them are things like how long's left on it from my experience of fighting this type of enemy. Like, is it going to be over in 2 seconds anyways, and moving's just going to be not worth it? Just because you fought that enemy so many times. Is like, how big is the AoE, and like which direction do I run to get out of it, and even if I need to run through more of it to get out of it in a different direction, will I be safer over there after I'm out of it? Like, where's the next AoE coming from and going to be, because like there's so many different little things based on the boss you're fighting, and I try to do it, but it's still like for the number of things they have to consider is generally less than all those things that you said, because they have a more limited move set and all those things. But yeah, there's on top of all that, there are performance concerns for doing all those checks. Like right now, if you're in, if an AI is standing in an AoE, it has no idea that it's standing in an AoE. All it knows is that it's taking damage. There's no communication between the ability and the actor saying like, this is my radius and you're standing in it. It's just, you take damage, you take damage, you take damage. And so suddenly, you're having to, if you want AI to detect AoE and move out of it, you're having to run these fairly frequent checks on, like, what are my surroundings? Analyze my surroundings. And anytime you're analyzing just kind of an arbitrary amount of stuff around you, it's not a cheap thing to do, performance-wise, like CPU cycles. Frames. It's, yeah. So there's like, you have a like a processing time budget for different things. So like, you have a budget for rendering on screen, rendering what's on the screen. And this might sound silly to some people, but we're actually really good in that category. And then you have a budget for things like, and the reason why a lot of people talk about how they're like, oh, I just upgraded my GPU to a 3080 and I didn't get much better frame rate on Last Epoch. Well, it's because that's not the bottleneck. And then there's another thing with the part that checking the surrounding area for AoEs and moving out of it, that's the expensive part of that, is what we already struggle with, which is the gameplay code budget. Stuff that even if you took away all the visuals, it would still exist. It would still need to happen. Which is all the stuff that the server does in multiplayer. Because the game is running on the server without any visuals. Like when you look at the server running, you can see like nothing. It looks like nothing's happening, but like the objects are there, and they're just like there's no visual components to them. So you can like pause it and see the objects, but there's no renderers. There's no visuals to go along with it. And you pause the client. There's just visuals, and that's it. Well, not quite, but it's basically all there is. There are a lot of AoEs. I have a good feeling that I'm gonna die here right at the end of the stream. Like, I think there's like an 80% chance I die right now. Oh, that was a well-timed bear transform. Can I sustain it? No, there's no way. Oh yeah. Should have grabbed that earlier.
I see.
Alright. Also, if the AI can avoid world hazards, it could avoid range attacks that made to value those builds. Yeah, I mean, that's even harder to do. Yeah, that one's not gonna happen. Well, I shouldn't say so absolutely. Chances of that one happening are very low. Like these are all things we could do. Completing them performantly is a completely different can of worms. And having the AI be a little stupider, or maybe a little less reactive, but like, okay, I have no idea what the numbers actually are on what it would cost, but hypothetically, let's say on average, having like minions and like, all AI just detect ground AoE effects and be able to make the decision to move out of them or not. Say that on average pulled out 3 frames per second. That's a huge hit just right there. But then let's say you're in a situation where there's the extreme cases, even if it's only 1 frame on average, but the extreme cases is where it's a problem, where there's like 80 things on screen and they're all making these decisions, and suddenly it's costing 10 frames and it's a travesty. And I have no idea if those are the actual numbers, but point is, it's weighing these features. Sometimes one of the things we weigh them against is performance. Is Arena Champions going to be an endless mode with additional waves and bosses after the first set, or is it just one boss then ends? I'd like to refer to what the post said and how it was worded, but I don't have it in front of me. So if you could check the post, because I'm pretty sure it says. I hate answering it like that. Let me see if I can find it. News, build blog. Where is it? Here we go. Come on. arena champions. With 085, we're going to be introducing new arena mode. In this mode, you will find yourself in the arena against a set number of waves, so fixed number of waves, eventually coming face to face with with one of the new arena champions. That's it. Yep. So fixed waves, boss. All right. Well, I believe that's all we have time for today. We got pretty far in this one. We'll just 360 or 40 away. That's good. Nice. Okay. Well, yeah, we'll get this one finished to our next week. And then I think I'll probably look at doing respec. I may even do that in the time between this and next week, just to get the build a little bit freshen up a little bit, you know. Put these points in here for now. Do I have any? No. Nope. All right. Don't do that yet, Mike. No more teasers. That's all I've got for you today. Any last second questions? I'll be happy to answer them really quickly, but we're gonna wrap up here. Feeling good. I had a blast today. Hang out, play some Epoch. It's great. Let's see if we can find someone to go say hi to. Thanks for coming out. I appreciate you all. Last second question, coffee or tea? Tea, definitely.